In this video, you are going to learn how to create a simple logo in Photoshop. Coming up. Hi everyone, I am Harshvardhan. Welcome to another fantastic tutorial. In this video, I will show you how you can easily create the logo in Photoshop, and that would be a simple minimalistic logo for your website. So without further ado, let's get started. So we'll open the Photoshop and create a new document, and that would be around, let's say, 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels, and we'll keep the resolution 72, and we'll keep the color mode as RGB, which is by default, and then we'll press create, and that's going to create a new document, and we are going to save this document as our logo. So we'll go to file and save as, and I'm going to rename it as logo. So now our document is saved, and now we are ready to create the logo in Photoshop. So first thing, we'll create a new shape over here. So for that purpose, we'll go to the rectangle tool, which is over here, or you can simply press U on your keyboard. So we'll take the first one, and from the top we have to select the shape. Select the shape from here instead of path, and then we have the option to select the fill or the stroke. So we'll select this gradient, or any gradient you can select. We can change it later on as well, and select the stroke to none. If you select this one, it's going to select none. Now we are going to create a rectangle or square shape with the help of rectangle tool, and now we have got this one. And now we'll select the move tool, and then we'll select the type tool, and we'll click here once, and here would be our top heading. So I will write WP skills hacks is my website address or a website name, so that's why I have written WP. And in the bottom I will write skills hacks, and I will press enter or check mark, and now we are going to make them larger. So I'll select the WP first and turn off the skills hacks and place it inside. Press Ctrl T, Command T, or you can resize it from the properties as well. So this is the transform properties of this, and we can make it larger by dragging it over here, or we can click on this drop down menu, and let's say we'll select the 72 point, and it's not that large because we want even larger. So we'll press Ctrl T. That's the easiest and fastest way to scale up. So we'll press Alt or Option so that it scales from the center, and just make it larger, even more larger, and press check. Now we have got W, and we are going to place it on the proper position. And now we'll take the skills X and turn it on and drag this down, and let's me place it over here, and then we'll press Ctrl T, Command T, and let's press Alt or Option and drag it to make it larger, something like this. And then we will just center it by pressing Shift. If we drag it, it's going to show these guidelines, so that it shows that now our logo is in the center. And let's make it something like this, and then select the WP. You can right click while using the move tool and then select the WP. So WP would be selected, or the layer, you can select different layers. So if you want to select the background, you can see we have selected the background. If we select the rectangle would be selected, and if we select this WP, so WP would be selected. So now we'll just place it over here, something like this, and now we'll make these characters have some space. So we need to go to this properties, or you can go to the windows and select the characters, and then character panel would be opened, and over here this is the line option. So if we'll drag it, it's going to create some space between the letters. So you can see we can move it anywhere we want, or we can make it closer to something like this. So if you want, you can attach it something like this. Alright, I'll go for something like this, and before we do anything, so I'll just keep it as W. So I will type it again, W, and I will press Alt or Option, and with the move tool I'll click and drag it over here to create a duplicate copy of it and leave it. And now I'm going to call it P. So I'll just double click and type P on my keyboard and press enter. So that way we have got W on a different background and P on different layer as a different layer. Alright, so we can just play with this one. So we'll drag the P down and place it under this. So at this moment it's not visible because there is nothing to show over here. So we'll select the W, this W layer, and just double click on this blank space over here. That would open up the layer style option, and over here you will find this drop shadow option. So we'll select the drop shadow, and that's going to add the drop shadow. So we'll go to this, click on this, and we'll go to the drop shadow, and now we can adjust different options in it. So we can choose whether we want it, which angle, multiply, and color. So leave the color default, that would be the black, and leave the blend mode to multiply, and choose the angle, let's say this one, okay, something like this. And we can choose the distance, how much distance of the shadow we want, and we can choose the size of the shadows, and leave everything as it is, don't touch anything else. So now let me adjust it. So if I place the distance to something like this, you can see now we have got the shadow over it, and we can even adjust its size. So if we'll increase the size, that's going to blur it out even further, and if we drag the size back, you can see that we got the sharp shadow which we don't want. So I'll increase the shadow to something like this, 21 point. You can decide the size for yourself, which one looks good to you, okay, and then I will press OK. Alright, and now we have got this WP. So if you want to place the shadow on the WP as well, so let's see how we can do this. There's one fastest way of placing any FX to another layer is by holding Alt or Option and clicking on the FX, and while holding the Alt or Option with your mouse, click and drag it on the different layer, and that would be copied. So the FX or the layer style would be copied to another layer. So you can see immediately we have got the shadow on the WP as well. And another way, let me show you. If you just go back to the layer styles, so you have just made this drop shadow, and we have created every settings and all that. So now you can click on the new style, and you can rename it anything, like let me name it add shadow, and we'll press OK and press OK. So we have saved a preset. So let me just first clear this one. So right click and select clear layer style from the bottom. So I have cleared it, and now what I can do, I will go to the Windows, and then I will go to the bottom styles, and that way the styles would be available over here. So let me just drag it over here to show you. So this is the style option, and this is the preset we have just created with the name of shadow. Okay, if you just hover your mouse, it's going to show you the name of that. So we have just created this. So if you want to apply on different layer, like in this case, so we have to select that layer first, and then we need to just click on this, and that layer style would be applied immediately. So that's the easiest and fastest way to apply styles. So let me drag it back. All right, and you can see whether it's looking good or not. I think it's looking good. And now let's work on the skills hacks. So let me drag it on the top a little bit. Alright, so if you want, you can just turn off the background, otherwise you can keep the background. But if you just turn off the background, then you need to change the color of these, because this may not be visible if you have something white header for your website or any other place, so you need to change that color. So I'll not do that. I will just keep this option rectangle, and now we'll just play with the rectangle. So what I can do, I'll just double click over it, and that would open the gradient fill option. I'll click on the gradient, and I can choose different gradient from here, some presets if I want. Okay, and I think this color should match with your right, so I'll just keep it the default one, and I can adjust its angle. So I can adjust it this way, I can adjust this way. So I'm just adjusting the angle, and let's see where it looks good. Maybe it looks good this way, right? And I'll just press OK. So if you want, you can just add the shadow to the skills hacks editor. So I'll just select this, and let's see how it looks. So I'll click on the layer style which we have just created for the shadow, and if I click, you can see it is now little bit got a 3 dimension to this. If you want to change its shadow, just double click on the drop shadow. That would open up the drop shadow option, and now we can adjust its distance. If you want to, you can increase it or you can decrease it. So I'll go little bit something like this, because this is a smaller text, so it has to be little bit different, and I will press OK. Alright, and now our logo is created. For this purpose, I have used the Khand font. So this is a Khand font. This is a free font. If you want to use this one, use it. Otherwise, you can change this font. But I love this font, so I choose the Khand font and the bold option. All right. And now we are going to export it as SVG. So for that purpose, what we'll do, we'll go to the type and select convert to shape. So that way it would be converted into a shape. So text would be converted to a shape, and so that if we scale it up, it doesn't lose the quality. Then we'll select the another one. Again, go to the type and select convert to shape. Then select W, type and select convert to shape. Alright, so now we have got all the shapes, and now we'll export it as SVG, or you can export it as ESP. So I'll go to the file, export and export as, and from here there is an option of SVG, so we can export it as SVG logo. So first I'll just export it as SVG logo. So I'll select the export, and I'm going to place it logo WP skillshacks.svg. So I'll just save it. So now SVG file has been exported, and now we'll go to the file and select export and select export as, and now we are going to export it as, from this format option we'll select the JPEG, and we'll keep everything as it is. Quality and everything is going to show us the size as well. So it would be of 197.2 KB. And if we select the SVG, because SVG file is very small, you can see the SVG file is just 4.8 KB. Alright, so we'll keep the both options. So I'll select the JPEG and select the export, and again I'm going to save it, and now we have got exported. So let's see what we have got. So this is our logo. You can see WP Skills Hacks. This is the JPEG file, and if we select this SVG file, this can be opened only on your browser. So I'll just right click and select open, and that would be opened in the Internet Explorer. And as you can see over here, there is a problem with our shadows, because this does not recognize the shadow. Alright, so it has got the white shadow instead of black shadow. So let's fix that. Let me close this one and come back over here. So what I will do, I'll just turn off all the FX. So I'll clear FX from all the layers. Right click and select clear layer style and select clear layer style. Alright, so now we have got all these without any shadows. I'll select all of these and press Ctrl G to group them together, and I'm going to call it type. Okay, and I'm going to create a duplicate copy of this group. So I'll press Ctrl J or Command J. So we have got a duplicate group. So I'll click and drag it on the bottom, and from here I'll select all these. I'll first select the top W. So I'll just double click it, and it's going to open up the color picker option. So I'll go for, let's say, something. Alright, so let's go for the black, and similarly I'll select the P, double click it, and select the black color for that as well, and select the Skills X and double click it and change this color as well to the black color. Alright, at this moment you might not be able to see it, so we'll need to turn off the top type layer. So we have got this one. Okay, and now select all of these and or group and lower down their opacity to, let's say, something like this. Okay, and then turn on the type and select the type copy or the shadow, and with the move tool select it. We'll press the right arrow, and that would add the shadow or make the shadow visible. So you can just make it anything you like, and if you press the drop down button, so it's going to bring it down. All right, and let's make it something like this. Here we cannot blur the logo, and now let's select the W. So at this moment you can see that the shadow on the P is not visible, so we'll just drag this P on the top. All right, so it's still not visible, and drag this W shadow on the top, and now shadow is now visible over here. Okay, and we can lower down its opacity like this one. So we have the 58% opacity, so we'll change its opacity to 58% as well, so that it matches with the rest of the shadow. Alright, so now we have got this one, and now we can easily export it as SVG graphics. So I'll right click and select the export as, and now we can select the SVG. Oops, I think we need to go to the file, export as. Now it's going to show the entire document, and select the SVG from here and select the export, and now we'll call it or replace the same one. So let's rename it something like -1 and save, and now let's check it out. So we have got this one, just open it up, and we have got this logo over here. And if you open the previous one, so you can see the previous one looks like this, and this one looks like this. So thank you so much. Bye bye. See you in the next video.